Yeah, there's no such thing as a universal framework, as we all know. I sometimes wish there were, but I've not really seen an attempt to do that. Uh, but fundamentally, yeah, value stream management can help with Agile. It can help with, I don't know where, maybe I don't know whether there's anything prescribed in ITIL about value stream mapping and value stream management per se, but many of the ITIL procedures, do relate to making how you can make improvements to value streams in different parts of the processes and that. But where I've seen it used mostly is how to accelerate pipelines for DevOps and the DevOps framework, because it's more of an end-to-end framework of continuous delivery. That's where I see it being used most readily. It can also be used with site reliability engineering frameworks, and like I mentioned, DevSecOps frameworks to try to identify where can you inject the wisdom of production with site reliability engineering better than you're doing now. It can also be used for, where should we inject more security controls in pipelines. So it can be used in a lot of different ways. Um, it's a pretty valuable tool. I think that more and more people are beginning to understand it, and especially as you get more maturity across your value streams, pipelines, it starts to become more relevant. Yeah.
Great. Any recommendations for online VSM tools that would help to facilitate interactive mapping with remote teams?
Um, I can't say I do have a recommendation right now. I mean, I have my own tools because I find most of the tools that I've seen are too complicated. I tend to keep it really, really simple. I literally have some templates that are like a PowerPoint template and an Excel template, and I find that they work just fine for anything that I've ever run across. Most of the other tools tend to overcomplicate things, in my opinion. So I may be a little biased in this regard, but there are process engineering tools that come out of, even hardware engineering, software. In my mind, they're all way too complicated. This is a this is not a precision instrument. Value stream mapping is meant to give you a strategic level of what's happening in your value stream, and to provide, the ability to do high level what if constructs for future state mapping. So in my mind, keep it simple, use simple tools, and keep it at the strategic level, because that's really what this is designed for. If you're going to get down to, let's say really, micro level value stream mapping and process analysis, then sure, you might want to use some more complex tools that have, I don't know, network diagrams and precise timings and all of that sort of thing. But that's beyond the scope of what we're talking about here.
Okay, thanks for that. Next question. What recommendation would you have for enterprise architecture governance for Agile projects using DevOps and value streams?
So could you repeat that question, or is it listed here? Uh,
Sure. What recommendation would you have for enterprise architecture governance for Agile projects using DevOps and value streams?
Architecture governance in particular. Okay, so um, first of all, there's a lot of different kinds of governance associated with DevOps and value streams, and it certainly applies. The first thing is you want to encourage groups to use some consistent structures. So I always say that, you should have some. If you're a large enterprise with many pipelines, you want to control the number of choices people make. Otherwise, it can get a little out of control. So that's often done through service catalogs or some kind of portal to give you some, if you like, blessed choices for those stacks and pipelines, and those choices should have embedded in them things like consistent feedback and measurement tools, so you can also not only govern the choice of technologies, but also govern, the ability to monitor the performance of pipelines and infrastructures and the applications as you're developing and deploying them. So there's different forms of governance there. There's the application uh, component choices, but then there's the performance of how they're doing through as they work through the pipeline as well. Um, Also, value stream mapping can provide governance at the site level when you're looking at, you know, should we slow down releases possibly because we're not meeting our SLOs and our air budgets? So SRE practices inform about that. And value stream mapping can be valuable to keep track of SLOs and air budgets to give governance on the overall outputs of DevOps. In some ways, you can think of some SRE practices as governance for DevOps cadence, making sure things don't get out of control and start delivering too quickly and want it to be safe. And value stream mapping can help you with that as well. So maybe I hope I answer the question.